Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my best luxury finds from 2025. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality under the radar brands, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, then my content is geared towards you. I have a selection of 20 to 25 brands I'd like to talk about, and I've split them into 5 groups: apparel, shoes, leather goods, jewelry, and home. I'm going to kick off with shoes. Within the shoe group, I have 2 brands. The first brand is an eponymously named brand called Kristen, named after the creative director and the founder, Nina Kristen. Nina Kristen is a directional footwear designer. She has designed the paddle boot for Bottega Veneta. She was also behind the balloon pumps for Loewe, and she's also worked at the Row. She started her own eponymous brand in 2024, and the shoes are made in Italy, and the focus is on pieces that are timeless. She is currently only online, but rumor has it she'll be opening a boutique in Paris. I'm in Paris often, and I look forward to exploring her boutique once it's open. So I'm paying a lot of attention to social media, hoping to visit the boutique as soon as it's open. I think it's such a shame we don't celebrate the leather goods creative directors behind bags and shoes anywhere near as much as we celebrate the fashion creative directors, like, for example, Pier Paolo, Oliver Roustick, Kim Jones, Daniel Lee, Jonathan Anderson, for example. They get maximum publicity, but accessories complement an outfit and they help to either make or break the outfit. And I think we really need to work towards raising the profile of the leather goods creative directors. So as and when I come across really interesting creative directors, I will definitely talk about them. The second shoe brand is a British brand called Arthur Sleep, and it's a brand I literally stumbled upon. They have a boutique in London that's located on Mount Street Mews, which is just behind Mount Street. And they're in the same spot that Sophia Webster had her boutique up until lockdown, when unfortunately the boutique closed down. But the space has been vacant for many years, and I've been watching the spot to see which brand would take up residence. And then lo and behold, early 2025, I discovered Arthur Sleep. Went in to take a look, and in theory, it sounds a really interesting brand. Focused on luxury bespoke shoes for men, women, and children. They have a micro factory in London where the shoes are made, and the focus is really on sustainability. I get anxious when brands talk about being sustainable or ethical, for example, because these are terms that are bandied about a bit too flippantly today. And when you dig a little deeper, you find it's only lip service. But with Arthur Sleep, I really do have confidence in the brand, and I look forward to exploring the brand in a lot more detail during the course of the year. They have a really young, engaging, dynamic team. And as I said, in theory, their products really sound interesting. My next group of brands are within apparel. Late 2025, Loro Piana was implicated in a scandal involving one of its subcontractors. It transpired that in an attempt to deliver the contracted products to Loro Piana as quickly and as cheaply as possible, the subcontractor had massively cut corners. They were paying their staff really badly, and the working conditions were absolutely abysmal. But Loro Piana wasn't the only aspirational brand involved in such a scandal. Other aspirational brands like Christian Dior, Balenciaga, Armani, Prada, for example, were caught up in similar scandals. And I honestly think in 2026, we will hear of other similar scandals coming up as well. But what happened when all of these scandals were breaking? It made me realize that I need to be a lot more intentional about finding and also talking about brands that operate with absolute integrity, and there's traceability and accountability at every step of the supply chain. And I've also been incredibly intentional about finding knitwear brands. I have 2 brands that are particularly noteworthy. The first is a Swiss brand called Frankenberger, and the second is a Scottish brand called Beg & Co. Both brands are just a sliver below the quality of brands like Loro Piana, Brunello Cucinelli, Il Borgo, Johnston's of Elgin, for example. They are the brands I would place at the very top end, together with, I think, Frank Nomani as well. Brands I've spoken about in the past. And then just below, I would place the likes of Beg & Co., Frackenberger that I'm about to talk about. I'd also place in there Extreme Cashmere and Oyuna, brands I've also spoken about in the past. I'm going to attach the video above. And with Frackenberger, what really stood out is, firstly, it's a Swiss brand, Swiss excellence, and it's a brand that's focused on elevated cashmere basics. And their basics are crafted in all of the colors of the rainbow, but they tend to focus more on the brighter hues of the chosen colors. I discovered Frackenberger about 3 years ago, but I only physically first saw their products late 2024 in New York. And I remember visiting New York, and the first boutique I went into, I stumbled upon Frackenberger. And I remember trying on Coatigan in olive green and really liking it. But I felt a bit hesitant to pull the trigger because I thought, this is the first boutique in New York. I still have another 10 boutiques. I may find a lot of other things I really like, and I've already spent a lot of money right at the beginning. And I'm still kicking myself for not getting the olive green color. But the Coatigan is something that they craft every single season in different colors. So I do have the chance to still buy it. It's a case of just waiting for the right color. I like Frackenberger because of the cashmere, the elevated basics. I like the colors, but I also like the fact that their cashmere is more of a medium weight. It's the type of cashmere I typically wear early spring, early autumn, before it's too cold. I don't wear coats. I don't like coats. I tend to layer. So the Coatigan would be absolutely perfect. The second brand is Beg & Co., a Scottish brand. And Beg & Co. craft knitwear that's weighted. It's what I typically will wear in the middle of winter. I now have 3. I've recently added another piece from Beg & Co. and I really like the weight. I like the quality. It's fantastic. The color palette is neutral. They're pastels, and they also tend to use natural yarn that hasn't been dyed. Their designs tend to be more of the rib. You also get quite a bit of the decorative knitwear, which I really like, and it works very well with the weight of the Coatigan as well as the design. And it's a brand I really like and wouldn't hesitate to recommend, especially if you're somebody like myself who likes to layer, who doesn't like wearing coats, but you want something substantial. Their knitwear is substantial. You're looking at 6-ply, and depending on the piece, above. The next apparel brand is one I spoke about a few months ago, Swiss brand Acris. And Acris is an absolute gem. It's a brand that really deserves a much higher profile. I really like the exceptional quality of their fabrics, the unique print, the double-sided print. I also like their bags. Their bags are beautiful, unique designs, and they're well made. It's a brand I hope to talk more about in the future because we really need to raise its profile. It's a fantastic brand, the leather goods as well as their clothes. The next brand is a Parisian men's wear brand focused on men's tailoring, but they do craft pieces that are unisex. It's a brand called Husbands Paris, and I discovered them a year ago and saw them in Paris for the first time a few weeks ago. But although some of their pieces are unisex, I'm petite in build and height. I found the pieces I liked. I remember seeing an overcoat, a fairly weighted winter overcoat, a trench coat. I would need to adjust the length as well as the body of the coat, and I just think it's too much work. You're playing with too much stuff. I prefer just to alter the hem and then it's good to go, but it actually needs a lot more work, and it's, I think, better for someone my size to find a brand that would cater for my size to begin with. But in terms of recommending Husbands Paris, I think it's a fantastic brand. Tailoring, bespoke pieces, ready to wear. They're bringing in pieces that are unique with a slight edge. And I'm going to talk about their trench coat in a trench coat video I have lined up for later on this year. And then the final brand within apparel is a brand called Sunray Spirit. And I stumbled upon the brand looking for t-shirts. I'm going to talk about t-shirts in a few weeks' time. And it's t-shirts within the mid-tier going up to the top end of the market. The t-shirts I would highly recommend, high quality, under the radar, spend money, and you get a really good quality product that you're not going to replace for many, many years to come. And Sunray Spirit is one of the brands I have on my radar. I like the quality, I like the designs, I like the variety of color available to you as well. Moving on to jewelry, I have been asked by a number of you for brands that are high quality and under the radar. And I also personally have been looking for bracelets. I've never really been into layering bracelets, for example, and that's because I'm just not into the hugely aspirational pieces. Think, for example, Jos d'Enclus, the love bangles, for example. Those are things I just don't like. Granted, I do like the Alhambra, but it's the only piece I really like that's hugely aspirational, that's really well known. And I like it, I wear it, I thoroughly enjoy it. But I actually think I would like to layer it. And the more I have explored brands that are high quality under the radar, the more I've realized, oh my goodness, there's some absolutely beautiful brands. But I also have to be careful that I don't project my own taste on you, and that I have to find brands that are diverse, not only in the styles, but also the price point. I have 4 brands to begin with. The first is one that is actually one of my favorite. If I was told I had to choose 3 or 5 top finds for 2025, I think this particular brand is a Japanese brand called Noguchi Bijou. It's based in Tokyo, and every single piece is custom made, but they do have stockists dotted around the world, and they have pieces they've ordered beforehand, of course, and they're sold in their stores. But if you go directly to the brand, which I have done, you have to order something and then it's custom made for you, so they don't have any stock waiting. I am hoping to go to Japan. It's not yet on the cards, I don't have a date, but that is one brand I'll do everything I can in my might to personally visit and order something if I can. I like Noguchi Bijou because their pieces are delicate, they're discreet. I like items that are delicate. I also like the fact that they work with gold, yellow, and also white gold, and they use diamonds that you don't really see a lot of. White, brown, and smoky diamonds. Their pieces are just stunning. I like the simplicity. I like the fact that they don't have anything cliche about them. But when you look at the pieces, the detail, the work that's gone into the pieces, it's all hand done. It's absolutely exquisite. And I have poured over pages and pages of their pieces online. So do stay tuned. This is a brand I will definitely talk about when I visit Japan. The second is another brand I also considered. I really like their tennis bracelet. It's a Norwegian brand called Colors, but spelt with a K. Their pieces are unisex, they use gold, and they're also focused on using ethically sourced diamonds. And what really stands out about Colors is that they work with a whole kaleidoscope array of precious gems, but more so diamonds. You will find diamonds, all colors of the rainbow. You will find them at Colors. And I like the uniqueness of their designs. And I've actively looked at their bracelets and thought, oh, they would be really nice to layer with something simple, and it just pops and it's a little different. It's not as the cliche, what I typically expect of a tennis bracelet. The third is an Italian brand called Anaconda. I really would like to check out Anaconda next time I'm in Milan. I'll try and go and see the actual boutique. And Anaconda is jewelry that is Victorian and Baroque inspired. It's intricate handmade jewelry. And then the final one out of the high quality under the radar is a brand called Tasaki. And I came across Tasaki because I like pearls. I still haven't been able to find any pearls that I really like. Tasaki, Mikimoto, they are the brands that are at the top, together with a couple of others. Mikimoto is more of the timeless classic pieces, whereas Tasaki is contemporary. Their pieces are arresting. You won't see anything like what Tasaki craft within the maison. They tend to focus on pearls as well as diamonds. I also have been looking at The other aspirational brands you don't hear a lot about. Think, for example, Graph. I've looked at Boodles, and specifically a collection called B Boodles. I've also looked at David Morris, I've looked at Harry Winston, and I've also looked at De Beers. Just trying to get an idea of what each brand's offering is, their unique selling point, their particular styles. And it's really interesting. I've bought a couple of pieces from some of those houses. And it's stuff that I will wear for the rest of my life, and I will pass on as heirlooms as well. And it's interesting just exploring other brands and seeing what they have and mixing and matching with other pieces. And they have some absolutely stunning pieces that nobody really talks about or really notices, because you have big brands like Cartier and Van Cleef & Arpels who have pieces that dominate the space. The next 7 brands I'm going to talk about are within home, and I've split them into fabrics for the home and then appliances for the home. The first brand is a brand I briefly touched on a few months ago. It's an Italian brand called Techno Monster. And Techno Monster is focused on crafting private jet worthy suitcases. Their products, I've seen a handful of their items in London, but I haven't seen their top end products yet. And I'm waiting for when I travel to Milan to take a look. And it's an absolutely outstanding brand. If you want nothing but the very best when it comes to suitcases, then Techno Monster is a brand that needs to be on your radar. I'll also talk about another Italian brand called Avature. Avature surfaced, I would say, just before COVID. And then they removed the products and they've come back bigger, better, and improved. And I'll talk about their leather carry-on suitcases as well, because they're also private jet worthy and they've improved the product. It looks the part. The next 2 brands are focused on crafting beds and mattresses. The first is a Swedish brand called Carpe Diem, and I have recently bought 2 mattresses from Carpe Diem. That's how much I like the brand. It's very comfortably within the mid-range. And then the second brand is a French brand called Trekker. I nearly pulled the trigger, but the mattress just didn't work with the frame. But these are 2 really interesting brands I like within the mid-tier, and I'm going to talk about them over the next few weeks as well on my channel. And then the last 3 brands are brands that are focused on textiles for the home. The first is a South African brand called Mungo. Mungo is incredibly distinct in terms of the look of the product. And they are a brand that really talk about and are focused on crafting their products with absolute integrity, with transparency throughout the supply chain. And they're based in Plettenberg Bay in South Africa. I'm going to be in Plet actually, and I really would like to go and see the brand, so I really get a good understanding. Mungo is also an interesting brand in that Zimbabwe, the country of my birth, they have a number of boutiques, exclusive boutiques that craft homeware products, and they source the fabric from Mungo. So Mungo is a very interesting brand. They sell themselves as a brand that crafts heirloom quality textiles for the home, and they craft everything from kitchen, bathroom, table linen, throws and blankets, and all of the hand towels and kitchen towels in my house are from Mungo. The next brand is Rosie Uniacke. Rosie Uniacke is legendary in London. She has a couple of, in fact, 3 actually, boutiques on Pimlico Road in the design quarter. And she's known first and foremost, I think, for her fabrics as well as her interior design service. And I have bought a number of pieces from her. I particularly like, and I have been eyeing her napkins. Her napkins are part of the collection of napkins I have put together that I'll talk about as well during the course of this year. And I like her napkins. They're more on the top end of the market. They are pricey, but they are absolutely stunning. The quality of the fabric, she works with Italian, with Belgian, and also Irish linen, for example. And the quality is absolutely exceptional. The craftsmanship, the mitered corners, the weight of the linen, they're 2 different types, the colors, absolutely beautiful. Stay tuned for my napkin video because there's some amazing brands, and I think I've actually bought napkins from most of them. And then the third brand is a brand I'll also talk about in my napkin video. It's a British brand called Gail Warwick Fine Linens. Gail Warwick is on the same level of, think for example, Pratesi that I've spoken about right at the top end, Italian brand Pratesi. I would compare them like for like with an American brand called Ebron New York and Laron. Gail Warwick sits very comfortably amongst those brands in terms of the quality, the craftsmanship. It's absolutely stunning. It's striking, it's arresting, it's just jaw-dropping. Her work is beautiful. Every time I have gone into her showroom, and it recently moved, and I think they're now located on Lotts Road. I need to confirm that. But every time I go in there, I spend almost over an hour just poring over stuff and just chatting and learning and looking at things. Their pieces are stunning. And what I really like is the embroidery, because it's all hand done. And when it's hand done, you're able to achieve a level of detail and complexity you can never achieve with a machine. It's expensive, but you truly get what you pay for. Her stuff is heirloom quality. And I will talk about Gail Warwick in my napkin video. And I have been eyeing a particular style that I'd really like, and I'm just, I keep wanting to pull the trigger. They're so expensive, but it's that trade-off. What am I getting? Is it worth it? And I'll start small, buy a couple and then buy another two and keep building the collection that way. Last, but by no means least, leather goods. Some of my best finds within this space this year. Fien 618. I like the designs, unique. No one's doing anything similar. And the colors, the quality of the leathers that they used, fantastic for the price point. Very comfortably with an affordable level of luxury. Lemaire, it's a brand I'm still exploring. I really like their apparel, I like their bags. I nearly pulled the trigger on one of their bags recently in Paris, but I already had 2 bags I was carrying, and I do not carry more than 2 bags. I run the risk of losing things, dropping things, forgetting things. But Lemaire is on my hit list. It's a brand I really like. The quality of the leathers, the craftsmanship, the uniqueness of their designs, fantastic. A brand I recently spoke about, Barbazan, they are the benchmark when it comes to custom leather goods. And then Prouès by David Hanna. The quality of the leathers they use and the craftsmanship that goes into their bags for the level of luxury premium core, their bags are priced between €1,500 going up to about €3,000. You'll be incredibly hard pressed to find a brand crafting better products for the price point using the same quality of leather. It's an absolutely amazing find within premium core. In terms of bags, there are 2 bags that have really stood out this year. The first is from BONASTRE. BONASTRE is a brand I don't talk enough about, but I would like to talk more about the brand, because when you consider, for example, the other French brands within similar level of luxury, affordable level of luxury, so bags under €1,000, for example, think Polène, Lancel, Maison Porsche, Tamir Benjamin, Leo Violetta, for example. I'm just giving you an example. BONASTRE is ahead of those brands when you consider the quality of the leathers they use, the craftsmanship and the details. Their bags are finished to an incredibly high standard. And then you also compare BONASTRE to other non-French brands. Think, for example, Strathberry, De Meliere, Aspinall of London, for example. BONASTRE is still ahead of those brands. The quality of their leathers they use is fantastic. And then the craftsmanship, the details, and how well they finish the bags, it's done to an incredibly high standard. And it's just such a wonderful brand that just has a very low profile, but you're getting an absolutely mighty product. And they recently introduced a tote. The tote is named after the road that the flagship store in Paris is located on, Rue de Perche. It's a tote that comes in 2 sizes and in 3 different colors, and it's also reversible in both sizes, all under €1,000. The quality of the leathers they've used for the tote, high quality Italian vegetal tanned. It's shiny, And it comes in 3 colors, black, in camel, and also a maroon color called Foucault. And then the details, the strap, the padding, the width, the comfort, the way the entire bag has been stitched, and then the reversible element, perfection inside and out. BONASTRE is an amazing brand. The quality of the leathers, the craftsmanship, the details at the price point, absolutely amazing. That's why I say it is ahead of a lot of the brands that are spoken about, together with, for example, Le TANNEUR. And then there are about 3 or 4 other French brands I'd like to talk about. I'm only going to see them during the course of this year. And I'll only talk about them after I've actually visited their various workshops around France. Once I've seen those, together with BONASTRE, I would also throw in Le TANNEUR. Those are some of the most powerful French brands when it comes to affordable level of luxury and what you are getting. The second bag I would like to talk about is the Madeleine Hobo Tote from Le TANNEUR. It is the very best hobo bag within the entire affordable level of luxury. They use leathers from Remy Cariat, and then the craftsmanship, the piping, the details that have gone into the bag, absolutely amazing. For the level of luxury, you will not find a hobo bag as well made as the Le TANNEUR one. I'm going to talk about the bag. The video has been recorded and I'd like to release it possibly next week or the week after. I'm trying to pace handbag videos, but it's an absolutely mighty hobo bag. And then the last brand I'd like to talk about, move slightly away from what I usually talk about, but still within leather goods. It's a French brand focused on saddles, and specifically eventing and dressage saddles. It's a company called Shieldrick. And I discovered Shieldrick via their bags. I was looking for unique, well-made men's travel bags. And they have a bag called the Florida Travel Bag. It comes in 3 sizes, which I'll talk about in the men's travel video. So do subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that, because I have some really good bags within that video. I think I currently have over 15 bags I'd like to talk about, so I'm going to split that video into different price points. But that's how I discovered Shieldrick, and I actually went to visit their workshop located in Vosges in France, and I went primarily to see their bags. Ended up only spending possibly 20 minutes talking about the bags, and then the rest of the afternoon poring over their saddles. Their saddles are absolutely amazing. I like horse riding. I do it casually, purely for pleasure, but their saddles are on a different level. The comfort, the precision, the precise work that goes into the measurements and how the saddles are made, absolutely amazing. And I remember spending the afternoon seeing a saddle being made from start to finish. I was absolutely blown. And Shieldrick is a family-run business, and they've actually been approached by Hermes, who wanted to buy their business. So that in itself should tell you just how outstanding their product is. It's an amazing brand, and I went there purely just to enjoy, and I ended up spending more time because I just wanted to enjoy seeing luxury at its very best and just being a part of their passion and showing off their product, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. And so to answer the question I was asked by one of my viewers a few weeks ago, which are your top 3 brands for 2025? I think I have maybe 4. I would say in no particular order. Carpe Diem, I bought my first mattress and then went back for a second because I really liked the product. I'd also like to throw into that equation Barbazan. I'd also like to add Prouès by David Hanna. I'm still blown by just the quality of their bags within their price point. And I'd also like to add Noguchi Bijou. It is my style. I like the delicacy of their work. It's delicate, it's discreet. I like the fact that they're working with diamonds that you don't typically see, and it's incredibly intricate, detailed work. So those are my best finds for 2025. There were other brands, but I thought, let me whittle it down. I didn't want to make this video too lengthy. But as always, do let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, as always, in the comment section down below.